So this is going to be fun. I thought we'd spend a little time learning some of the Microsoft drawing tools because they're the same in Publisher as they are in Microsoft Word. And, you know, 'tis the season. Let's draw a little Frosty here. So let's get started and dive right in. First thing you're going to do is going to hit Start button. And probably on your Start menu, Publisher is right here. We could use Word. The same tools are in there, but Publisher has a couple more tips and tricks. And for something like this, we'll go ahead and use Publisher. And you're just going to go ahead and choose a blank document, and this is the way this is going to look for you. And I'm going to switch back over to the document I've already used just so I can show you guys our end result. So this right here is simply a Publisher document that I have zoomed in, and I already have the finished project here, and this is where we're going for. And I've zoomed in. If you see down at the bottom here, I can zoom in and out, and I'm going to be using the zoom in and out tool as we go through here. So let's go ahead and get started. I think what I'll do is demonstrate first that I can just draw a box around this whole thing. I'm going to slide Frosty right off to the side. Oops, let's try this again. And now he's kind of like off stage basically. So I have my blank piece of paper, and these are things I could drag in, and occasionally when you're doing a project you can have things off the paper and bring them on, or have them flying off the edge or whatever. So let's go ahead and get started now. The thing we're going to use mostly here is our drawing shapes. So we can access drawing shapes from the Home tab, or it's also in the Insert tab here, if you'll notice. So a lot of them are going to be some of your standard customers, you know, line tool, rectangle tool, oval tool, and that kind of stuff. But you will, I promise you, learn some new stuff. So let's get busy and do this. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get Frosty's body started. Now I'm going to choose the oval tool. The thing you don't want to do is just go ahead and just draw it. In order to force it to be a perfect circle or a perfect square or any perfect shape that you want, you're going to first hold down the Shift button and then draw. See how that makes it a perfect circle? I can't make it anything other than perfect, which I love. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that circle, and I'm going to move him off to the side. And that looks pretty good for now. And I'll change its color back. I know you're going to say, Sebeski, that's not the right color. And I'm going to make the bottom about the right size, and then I'm going to go ahead and, if you'll notice, it switched me automatically to a format and put my tools up here, my shapes up here. So I'm going to grab this again, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift and draw a slightly smaller. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit this oval. I'm going to hit Shift and hit the smallest one for the head. Now comes a couple things that I'm going to get a little bit tricky with. First off, I like the way this looks. Be honest with you, it doesn't look all that bad. He looks a little bit tilty, and I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix his color. I'm going to show you a couple new things. First off, Shift click works in Publisher. So I'm going to go ahead and click the top one. I'm going to hold Shift, I'm going to click the second and third one, and I've just selected all three. Now if you'll notice, it kind of thinks, oh, I think he wants to go ahead and change the fill. So if you look up here, I'm in the Format tab, which it automatically selected for me, and I'm in the Shape Fill, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill this with white. But I'm going to go ahead and keep these highlighted to show you something. There's a couple really cool and incredibly useful things up here that you may have never used before. For one, I love this align, so I'm going to left click and hold the align, and I want to align these things all to the, let me see, center. So you see this guy right here? I'm going to do that, and it just nudges it off just to make it absolutely perfect. And now I'm going to click off, and I got a perfect snowman looking here, and he looks exactly how I want him to look, but I'm going to do something just to demonstrate. So if I wanted to, I could click the bottom circle, and I could, under my Format tab here, I could bring him forward. So if I click on this, it's better rather than try to explain it, just show you. If I say bring to front, you see how weird that looks? I mean, that would look like, I don't know, that just looks not like a snowman to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click him again, and I'm going to send him backwards, send him all the way to the back, I guess. And so now you know how to align, and we're going to use align again, don't worry. And we are definitely going to use send to back and send to front and that kind of stuff. But let's keep getting busy and learn a few more of these tools because they're pretty sweet. Next one will be a variety of shapes that we can do. Let's take a look at some of those right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the shape button, and I can look at some of these line tools. I'm going to do that now, and let me pause this by saying you are following along here clearly. Feel free to pause this thing, rewatch it, whatever you want to do, bye-bye, because I want you to draw a perfect Frosty like I hope I'm about to do right now. So, let's take a look here. Let's just dive in. First, I think I love that jaunty scarf he has on. Let's see if we can recreate that. So, yeah. Let's start with the scarf because that's kind of cool. First off, he needs something around his neck. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this rounded rectangle tool. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this right around his neck about like that. And you'll notice my shape fill comes open. And I can go shape, I'm going to drop the shape fill down. And that looks like it's a texture. You see how that's a texture? So I'm going to see, no, it's not a texture, it's a pattern. So if I drop down to pattern, I think I'll choose the small grid. And just so I match the color, I'm going to go ahead and choose a yellow color. And oh, that looks dandy. Now it looks like he has a little knot right there. So with this one, I am going to choose an oval. I'm just going to draw a little oval right here, just kind of close in here. And as long as he's already highlighted, I might as well go ahead and do another pattern on him. And now here comes the tricky part. So let's get these scarves blown in. Now this is a super useful tool if you know how to use it. And thank goodness you have me. Check this out. So I'm going to go insert, and it's still going to be, no, of course I could go insert and hit shapes here. If I want to, I can go home, because I can hear somebody going, Mr. Sebesky, you can get there from the insert tab. Yeah, yes, I know. So wherever you want to get to it from, I'm going to hit the shapes. But check this out. This curve tool I'm going to start off with, because if you know how to use this, man, this thing is just slick as snot. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you how to use the curve tool just by doing. How you do it is you start where you want the curve to start. I'm just going to zoom in just a bit because I need him to start right about at the knot, the top of the knot. So I'm clicking there, and that's where I want the curve to start. And now I click where I want the curve to curve. So I'm going to click it about down like this, and it's not going to look like much has happened. But, oh, see that? And now I'm going to go ahead and click where I want another curve to happen. And I'm going to click again. Oh, yeah, baby. Now watch. So is it okay if it's really short curves? Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few of these in here because, this scarf has been out in the wind for a while. And it's getting a little bit rattly. So, that's one more time. And now, on the way back, I think it better start curving probably about right here. I'm going to click again here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and to finish him up, double click here. Oh, okay, that turned out okay-ish. So I'm going to go ahead and shape fill that guy, and I'm going to do the same pattern. And let's go ahead and choose that light colored pattern just so it all matches. We got one more big old swoopy scarf thing here, and you'll notice it's on top, and so I'm going to go ahead and click it and make it just like that. So I'm going to click off here. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to hit my shapes again, and I'm going to hit my gosh darn curve button again. And I am going to, let's see, this time it looks like when I start here, looks like he's going to start curving about here. And it's going to need another curve to start about here. And yeah, now I'm going to go back and forth a bunch of times just because, like I say, the wind's been blowing. It's been a long winter for Frosty, but he doesn't care. He's a snowman. That's what he likes. And so I'll go about, I'll start that next curve about here. And bring him up. And double click there. That, I think, is going to be just fine. So let's go ahead and shape fill him again. Now, if you'll notice, I'm choosing to do patterns right now. A little later on, we're going to do some other colors as well, because I know how you're going to say, oh, Mr. Savesky, look how cool I can make it look like wood. I can make it look like, whatever. I know. We'll get to it. Don't worry. We'll get to it. So now we have the scarf done, and this Frosty, boy, we are actually doing a pretty nice job here. Let's go ahead and learn another tool. And just because we can, I think we'll go ahead and put the hands on him, because it looks like he needs some hands. Now with this one, probably you already guessed, I'm just going to go ahead and use a rectangle, but I want to show you a couple things with this rectangle tool. So I'm just going to draw his arm off to the side here like this. And just because he's already off to the side, I'm going to go ahead and click this down, and I'm going to make it brown like a piece of wood. And just because I can, I'm going to circle him around like that. And the picture I had looks like that's a little bit too dark a brown, don't you think? Should I bother? Okay, so I can go more fill colors. Now if I do, I can go to standard fill colors, and I think I got a better brown here. Yeah, I like that better. And I'm just going to stick him down in here where he needs to go. And you know what? That doesn't look like the picture. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and send that backwards. I'm going to send it backwards one more time. And now it looks pretty good. It's behind his scarf, looking pretty similar to the other one. So as long as I got this handy, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the stick of an arm. I'm going to Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'm going to drag this arm over to the other side. And you see that little handle right there? I'm just going to spin him around. Spin him around just a little bit more, just because I can. I feel like Bob Ross. And stick him about like that. Oh, that looks dandy. And you see how he's kind of off to the side? And this is filled with white, so I should be able to get away with send the back. And oh my goodness, that is looking very cool. Let's put his thumbs on, for lack of a better term. I'm going to call them thumbs. So I'm going to go ahead and hit shape, and I'm going to hit the box, and I'm going to make I sometimes just like to make it off to the side just because I can. And let's go ahead and make it pretty much the same colors I used before. I'm going to drop him down. Looks like the picture has him about like that. Control C, Control V, Control copy to Control paste. Then I give him a couple thumbs. Now this brings up an issue, and if I'm being very careful, and I really want to recreate this picture, I can see that I have lines. Showing, and I want these lines to go away. I kind of need them to go away. I'm going to make this thumb a little longer, by the way, just because I think it should be. So I think you already know how to do this, but don't forget the shift click. So if I want all these lines to go away, just get him down a little bit more. I'm going to go shift click, and I'm holding down. I'm continue to hold down the shift, and I'm going to turn off the outline on the whole thing. See how I clicked? See what I did up here? I hit shape outline, and I went no outline, because now it matches the picture. And on the assignment that you're going to do in a minute, I will really want you to match as hard as possible. Let's just see how good you can pay attention. So Frosty is really coming along really good. So let's try a couple more things. Let's go ahead and learn the freeform tool. I like that freeform tool. It's pretty cool, and it's very, very useful if you can use it. And this is the guy up here, this freeform. So with him, you can do a combination of a scribble and line, which is actually pretty sweet. Check this out. So I'm going to make that shovel that he has over with the freeform tool. We'll just do it easy first. And let's see, it looks like that shovel starts about up here, and I can change it later. So I'm going to go just click, and I'm done. I'm not holding the click. I clicked, and now the line is just sitting there waiting for me to do something. So I'm just going to go click and go about like click. Let's go all the way down to click, and not too wide of a shovel. Click, and make it about the same width like this. I'm just going to go click and double click. Not bad at all there, Frankie. I'm going to go ahead and choose a good, better shape color. You know what? That looks like that was supposed to be a little darker. It doesn't matter that much, but you know what? I want to do a nice job here. Let's go with this one. Fine. Okay, that looks really nice. That looks pretty darn good right there. So now you learn the freeform tool, and I'm just gonna, I'm going to show you what you could also do. You could also go click, 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 hold the click, draw some stuff, and then double click. Okay, the freeform tool is actually pretty sweet. So you can do a combo. If you wanted to, you do have a scribble tool here. So if I wanted to just, scribble some stuff on, I could do that. Like if I wanted to give Frosty an appendectomy scar, I could just use the scribble tool and just draw, a couple things on here. But the freeform tool, just so you know the differences, you can actually let go of the click button. I'm setting corners, and now I'm going to hold the click, and I'm going to draw a little bit of something, and now I can go back to straight lines. You're going to find out that someday, and then I can double click to finish it. Someday you're going to find out you're going to want that. So I'm going to delete this because it's ugly, and he doesn't need an appendectomy scar. Okay, so far so good. Now I just need a couple buttons and a couple other things, and we'll be finished up. And there's some tricks still to be learned. Don't worry. For instance, let's make sure we remember how these buttons work and make those nice. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my oval tool. I'm just going to draw one, and I'm going to hold the shift button. And by the way, if you forget to hold the shift button, if you hold it in the middle of the draw, it will automatically snap back to perfectly around. So that looks real nice, and as long as it's highlighted, I'm going to go Control C to copy, and I'm going to go Control V twice because I got 3 buttons, and I'm going to push these buttons down here. Now watch how fancy I am. I'm so fancy. I am going to shift click all 3 of these guys, and I'm going to use that one I showed you before. First, I'm going to click on a line way up here. A line, and I'm going to line them all up into centers just so they're perfect. And one more thing though, I'm going to click a line, and I'm going to distribute them vertically. And what that's going to do, and even though they look pretty good, if I click it, it'll make sure that they're exactly the same distance apart from each other. Now that is pro, you must admit. Now it gets a little bit tricky up here, so let's go ahead and get his face done. And then there's a couple other tricks up here with his hat and such I want to show you, but pretty straightforward stuff. We'll go ahead and draw his eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and the same technique I used before. I'm going to shift, and I'm going to draw a reasonable size eye. Give him some nice big eyes. And they got, of course, made out of coal, so they're black. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I'm going to move that eye off to the side. That looks nice. And let's get his nose put in here just because I don't know what else to do next. So I'm going to need a triangle. Now the triangle one is a little tricky for this nose. So I'm going to draw the triangle up here. And I'm going to draw it bigger than I need first, because if you draw it too small, this handle, see this extra handle up here? You're going to need that rotation handle, and if you draw a too small of a triangle, the rotation handle is hidden and it can't be seen. So I'm going to draw this too big so the rotation handle happens, so I can draw it. Looks like it's a little bit of a jaunty angle, which is nice, and I'm going to skinny it up a little bit. I'm going to shorten him down, and I'm going to stick him on his face, and that's way too big, so I'm going to move him down and move him a little bit short. That looks pretty good. I'm going to fill this baby with some nice orange. Looks like a carrot. And just because I can, I'm going to grab that little angler tool. I'm going to angle them up just a little bit more. That makes it not look so much like a triangle, which is nice. Now, in order to do the buttons on the mouth, I mean, yeah, we can just do it. I think you get the hint. But let's just go ahead and learn by doing. I'm going to shift, and I'm going to draw one small. Maybe that's too small, just a tad bigger. I'm probably getting too fussy. And before I copy him, I'm going to go ahead and fill him with black just because I can. And now I'm going to go Control C, and let's see, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like he's got about 6. So Control V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that should give him 6. So I'm going to go ahead and move these guys around here a little bit. Now, this is going to get a little tricky, so I'm going to go ahead and way down here. See that way down there? I'm going to zoom in a bit because it's going to make it easier for me. And I'm going to put these in here, and I'm going to hope that this is going to be okay. I don't think he needed 6. I'm going to make it work, though. No, you know what? That's not bad. Let's see if we can get... So... Okay, these actually, okay, this looks pretty legit just the way it sits, but I can do a little bit better than this. So I'm going to shift click all these guys like that. And I'm going to use this technique I showed you before, and it should be under Format. And I'm going to align these things and distribute them, rather. I'm going to distribute horizontally because they're not quite the same distance. And this is kind of like polishing the apple, but you see how that did that? It makes them all about the same distance apart, and I like that. But I can just give it a little bit fine tuning, which I just did, and that doesn't look all that bad to me. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. And now we need a hat. It looks like his hat is just a pretty straightforward two-shaped hat. It looks like it goes away from his head a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and put a hat like this, and then I'm going to get another shape and draw the top part of his hat like such. Now, some of you guys are probably way ahead of me. And you're going, you know what, Sebesky, if you wanted to, you could hit Shift and go click, 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 and then go ahead and align all these not distribute, align them all center so the hat and everything is all perfectly lined up. And sure, it didn't look like it did much. The hat needs to be shift clicked for both sections, and we're going to go ahead and fill him with this time I'm going to go ahead and fill him with a texture, a pattern. No, not a pattern, a texture. Yeah, we're going to go with texture. Look, he's got a nice, very stylish tweed hat on. How's that? And looks like he's got a sign over here. So let's go ahead and just draw him a sign. And I'm going to draw the square. Now this time with my shape fill, I'm going to go with the gradient. See how we got a gradient? We played with gradients before. And this one's a gradient from outside in. I'll do that gradient like that. And you know what? Just because I can, it looks like about the same size like that. And now to put text in, there's two different ways. I'm going to show you both. See, we have this one and this one as well. I'm going to do both ways to show you how to do the text. First one is put a text box in. So if I'm an insert, I can go ahead and just insert a text box from here. I can draw a text box, which is a very handy way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this text box in here. It's invisible. And I'm going to type in let it, hit enter, snow. Where happened to my snow? There it is. And make it a little bit bigger. So I like shortcut keys. I can just go ahead and drag and highlight it, or I could have went Control A. It doesn't matter. And I love this button that Publisher has up here, and Word has it too, as you know. I can just make it bigger until I like it. So this text box got a little bit too small, so I'm going to make it bigger and make it bigger yet. And I'm going to crank that guy up to where it looks about like the other one. And I'm going to move that text box. Got to be careful. I don't want to move box itself, I'm just going to move the text, make it pretty much in the middle. Oops, I forgot the exclamation point. One thing the world don't have enough of is an exclamation points. Hurrah! And what is that? A stick with a really cool looking little wood color. So back to my shapes, back to this. I'm going to draw my stick right down the middle. I'll move him a little bit because I don't want him over the top of that thumb. And that stick is made out of wood. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to go ahead and put a texture. How about this texture way down there? Yeah, I like it. A couple things that we can do here now. For one, like this sign, I want to move this whole sign over. This is a huge tip right here. I want to group this sign, the text box, and the stick together so I can move everything all as once. And the grouping is a huge, very cool thing to do. So it's best to use Shift or Control click. Either one will work here. So I'm going to click on the text box. I'm going to hit Shift. I'm going to click on the other box, and I'm going to click on the button. And because I got these all clicked, all three of them, see this guy up here? This says, let's group these together. Shall we? And I'm going, yes, I shall. See, now that they're all grouped, I can move it. And so now I made that little pinky there on the guy. I might as well use him. So now I got this ready to go. And the other way to put text in is with word art, and I like word art a lot. It's a lot of fun. And the nice thing with word art is, well, let me just show you. So when I hit insert, I can choose word art, and I could use these fancy ones, and you can play with those. But I can just do a little word art and type in, let's type in Frosty and hit OK. Now the cool thing about this is I can fill it with the same kind of stuff that we've done. So check this out. So right now I can I can resize it, and it's not going to lose any of its crispness. I can do a shape fill and make it red, and this has a nice green outline, so I can do an outline of a nice Christmas green. And I can also make the outline a little heavier if I want, which I do. Oh, that looks dandy. Okay, now you must admit that was pretty cool. We learned a lot of tools and had some fun doing it. And so now let's have you guys give it a challenge. In Classroom, I'm going to have a little assignment for you, and it's just really several pictures that you have to just recreate and submit. So I hope you had some fun with this, and I'll see you on the next one.